By 12,000 BC, hunting and gathering peoples are entering South America. They hunted deer, alpaca, llama, and other large animals. The highlands and coastal regions provided harvests of squash, gourds, and wild potatoes. But around 8,000 BC, the climate of this whole region becomes dry and warm, and to maintain their numbers, the people there had to experiment with agriculture. Early Mesoamerican and Andean societies developed independently. Geography discourages any sort of communication between the regions. The Pacific coast of South America has few rivers and eventually rises to 15,000 feet with the Andes Mountains. Between the two chains of the mountains are valleys, or we call puna, where there is water which allows for potatoes and maize and grazing for llamas and alpacas. The arid coast makes it absolutely necessary to have irrigation, which subverts the necessity for social complexity. The highlands had limited amounts of arable land, requiring people there to engage in terrace farming. With limited resources, the people here needed to create an organized state in order to compete. Peruvian art contains scenes of war, military images, and trophies. On the eastern side of the Andean mountains are rivers that flow into the Amazon and La Plata rivers. Here, tropical fruit and coca leaves are grown. Most of the Andean heartland comes under cultivation between 2500 and 2000 BC, and permanent settlements are dotting the coastal regions. They're relying on beans, peanuts, and sweet potatoes. Their most important animals are llamas and alpacas, which produce both wool and meat. They cultivate cotton, and they also supplement their diet with marine life from the Pacific Ocean. By 1800 BC, Andean peoples are constructing canals and irrigation systems to support the cultivation on the dry lands along the mouths of the western Andean valleys. They also fashioned distinctive styles of pottery and built temples and pyramids in large ceremonial centers. Between 3000 and 2000 BC, agricultural villages were appearing in the Andean highlands. Pottery from these people appear as early as 2700 BC, and its style requires a high level of sophistication. This pottery is also very similar to the style that's coming about from Japan around the same time, which has led a lot of scholars to believe the possibility that Japanese fishermen crossed over the Pacific Ocean and made contact with these people. Around 1000 BC, a new spiritual belief shows up and spreads throughout the central Andes Mountains. The Chavin cult spread and then vanishes around 300 BC. No information survives to indicate the precise significance of the cult, nor even its proper name. We are not even sure how the cult spread, whether it was through conquest, trade, or missionary activity. Their art, however, is similar to that of the Olmecs, and the tropical features of both styles suggest that the Amazonian lowlands are the point of origin for these traditions. During the Chavin cult, Andean society becomes more complex. Weavers produced textiles of cotton and wool, artisans manufactured fish nets from cotton, and craftsmen would develop and experiment jewelry from minerals, gold, silver, and copper. There is no evidence that Chavin cultural and religious beliefs led to the establishment of a state or any sort of political order. They inspired ceremonial centers rather than establish true cities. The earliest Andean state arose in the valleys on the western side of the mountains. Because early Andean societies did not use writing, their beliefs, values, and ways of life remains largely unknown. One early Andean state left an artistic legacy that allows a glimpse into the life of these people, and otherwise it'd be completely lost. The Mochica state dominated the coast and valleys of northern Peru from about 300 to 700 AD. Mochica ceramics take the form of portraits of individuals' heads. Others represented the gods and demons. Some depict scenes of everyday life of the Mochica people. The Mochican state spread through conquest. Its art is images of warfare, prisoners, and trophy-taking, i.e. human heads. There are archaeological sites of forts and posts. Politically, they seem to be military states or chiefdoms that were constantly at war. Mochica was one of the several large states that dominated the central Andean region during the first millennium AD. None of these states were able to impose order on an entire region or dominate a portion of it for long. The geographic barriers posed by the Andean mountains presented challenges that ancient technology and social organization simply could not overcome.